Hello, my name is Heather Andrew. I'm the CEO of Neuro-Insight in the UK, and welcome to the Visium Spotlight series. So Neuro-Insight is a consumer neuroscience company, and what we do is look at how the brain responds subconsciously to all sorts of communications, everything from brand advertising to posters to packaging. The first thing to say is our brains really aren't very interested in brands. Our brains are interested in stories and in puzzles and in narrative. And if you can create a piece of brand communication where the brand or the product is actually intrinsic to the story, almost by default the brain's going to follow, because our brains want to know what's going on. If you leave your brand into the end, it can be highly successful, but it's more of a gamble. There's no guarantee that your brain's going to stay absolutely engaged right till the end. And if you create a piece of communication which evokes a fantastic emotional response but doesn't get encoded into memory, what you've made is a wonderful piece of entertainment, but not necessarily a great bit of brand communication. So memory is what we're really interested in. And if you look at what drives great communication, there are three key things that can drive memory. One is narrative. Stories. So our brains like to follow stories and puzzles, and making your brand intrinsic to that narrative is a really good way of making sure it gets into memory. The second key driver of memory encoding won't come as a surprise to anyone who's ever worked in communication, because it's what we call personal relevance. If our brain sense that something is personally relevant to us, it's more likely to get stored into memory. So personal relevance drives memory encoding. And the third key driver of memory encoding is emotional response. So a strong emotional response tells the brain something big's going on, and again, it's more likely to get into memory. One of the things we're often asked about by clients is whether things have changed in the last few years as the media world's changed, as people are using more screens, more multi-screening, and it's quite an interesting answer to that. Certain sorts of attention haven't changed. Some sorts of attention is like a reflex action. If I click my fingers, I get your attention. And that is a reflex action. It's nothing to do with learned behaviour, and that will never change. But there is a generation growing up who have less learned attention. And learned attention is more about the ability to focus and to concentrate for longer periods of time. So when we think about attention, it's more than a few years in time frame that we're talking about. It's really a generational thing. But as the new generation of people, as consumers come through, advertisers are going to have to become better at understanding very rapid changes in response and change the ways in which they deliver messages and change the nature of the message they deliver.